All right, guys, we are back. I just tried to do this Hangout, another event, and apparently Google doesn't have its stuff together because, man, I still sounded like a chipmunk in that last one. So this first little section here is going to be me going back and making sure that all the links are working and all the video is working, because for some reason, this has happened several times. Whenever I do Hangout, Google likes to make it sound like a chipmunk. And when that happens, that doesn't work. I've had to go back and read it several times, so better to do it now than later. So this little part you may want to fast forward through by using that little cog icon down there, that little gear shift icon, and just fast forward through it so that increase the speed so that you can get past this boring, dull part here I'm having to do to make sure this works. So let's see if this video is working. If it is, I can link everything back to it. This has happened several times. Whenever I do. All right, good. That I can go ahead and link the rest of the stuff to this. So I'm going to go ahead and let the people know that are on here where it's actually going to be moved to now. Okay, hopefully that'll work. Is it going to work? Good. Like I said, people, sorry about this. I don't know why it does this. All right, so we're going to close that one out and make this the official stuff. Okay, so let me just bear with me here. And we'll get this all situated and settled, okay? Also got to change this on my blog, which will take just a second. For all you those out there viewing, I'm having technical difficulties if you're viewing this live, so I'm changing the links to where it's supposed to be. And hold on just a second. If that works. Should be fine. It's a little bit of a delay. For all you those out there viewing, I'm having technical difficulties if you're viewing this live, so I'm changing the links to where it's supposed to be. And hold on just a second. What you're hearing is my blog right now, so I'm having to change that. It's a little bit of all you those out there viewing, I'm having technical difficulties if you're viewing this live, so I'm changing the links to where it's supposed to be. And hold on just a second. What you're hearing is my blog right now, so I'm having to change that. It's a little bit wrong. Those out there viewing, I'm having technical difficulties if you're viewing this live, so I'm changing the links to where it's supposed to be. And just a second. let's get back to, I'm so sorry for that mess. I don't know if it's a loading feature or what, but in Google Hangouts, that happens. And when I stop it and go back, it seems to correct itself. So I don't know if it just takes a while for it to load. Sometimes when I'm playing on my guitar, I have delay problems and things like that, and it just takes it a minute to finally complete the loading process and get everything synced up before it works. So if you're viewing this on the actual Hangout page, there is, let's see, let me just make sure I can invite everybody here so that everybody knows where I'm at. Let's see, let's go to invite guitar and bluegrass. And invite everybody from those circles, because that way they can see what's going on. Okay, I think we're back, and let me do one more thing, make sure this is working. Okay, good deal. It is working. If you'll just click on the play button in the event page, the name of the Hangout now is Newest Hangout Vlog, the Writing Life and Miscellaneous Reviews. Let's get started, people. I'm so tired sorry about that, and tired of all these hang-ups. If anybody else has this problem doing Hangouts, let me know how to fix it. All I know to do is, test it once and then redo it, but that really causes confusion on day of release. So anyway, much apologies. That's been about, I don't know, 5-6 minutes of getting everything together, but now it shouldn't sound like a chipmunk. Everything should be fine. You can, if you click on the events, where this is at in the events page, if you're watching this live, click on the video to play, and you can interact with questions and things like that. If you're watching this later, all the information about this Hangout will be in the show more area, the description area. It's got all the talking points, all the links I'll be referring to today, everything, okay? So I've already done this ahead of time, and it is there, all right? So I want to thank you guys for watching today, and I'll go ahead and tell you what we're going over today since the last one didn't take. And that is, let's see here. Let me get my notes out. Okay, here's what we're talking about. Excited because this is my first Hangout in like 5 months, almost 5 months. And was hoping that all the glitches in 5 months' time would be worked out with Google, but apparently they're not. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to try to keep it to an hour. Right now, it's already 20 minutes past 12. That's right now when we're officially starting. That was 20 minutes of trying to get stuff worked out. Sorry about that. Much apologies. But today we're going to be talking about all the updates that I've been that have been happening in the last 5 months. Number one will be writing updates. This is about the writing life. This is updates that I've had and some things I've done. For those of you that haven't really been paying attention on my blog, a lot of people on YouTube just stick to YouTube. They really don't go a lot of other places, and that's fine. That's why we do these updates like this, and that's why I have this interactivity so that you guys can interact with me. Today we're talking about writing life. We're talking about some just other updates like the status on the Bluegrass Guitar Essentials DVD. Have had a few snags with that, so maybe that'll be working out soon. Don't know. Going to be talking about some tech upgrades and reviews that I've had. Haven't had them long enough to do a lot of reviews or anything like that, but well, maybe I have. I don't know. There's a couple things on here that I have just recently upgraded, and I don't really have an idea yet of the performance of it. And then just some miscellaneous stuff that I'll be talking about. Okay, so let's get started. The writing life, and I've, one of the delays was I was fixing some coffee that I really wanted to showcase today. If you have seen the picture of the event page on the blog here, or the Hangout, and I'll probably make that the thumbnail for the actual Hangout too. That is a picture of me holding this brand new Wattpad mug. I'm so proud of this thing. I'm telling you. Oh, I made some coffee this morning. Not as good as Perk Up and Charity's Bake Shop and Poets and places like that in town, but it'll do for what I do, for what I need this morning. I make my coffee with something called an AeroPress. I actually have a video hidden here somewhere on the YouTube channel, my channel, about the perfect cup of coffee, and I make it with an AeroPress coffee maker. It's amazing. It's really good. But this is a Wattpad mug, okay? This was sent to me. Before I get to that, let's talk about Wattpad for just a second. I recently heard about Wattpad, probably, sometime since I started getting serious about writing again, which was October of last year. I really got it started back in reviewing the novel that I attempted to write. It was mostly written for NaNoWriMo back in 2009. Started that back up. Finally finished rereading everything, get familiar with it so that I could, lay the rest of it out and work on it. And all of that is contained in this little notebook. There's about 5 pages where I sat down yesterday and within the last week, I guess, writing down what I wanted to happen in the last part of this. And that's been up in my head for the last 5 years. How to end this, what I wanted to do. And there's a whole story on that. If you'll go down to the links in the show more, and if you're on the event page, on the sidebar of the event page, all these links are here. And this one is one it's novel updates and strategies. It's right on the very kind of the top portion of the talking points. This is a post I've written about NaNoWriMo, how to get through NaNoWriMo, and there's a little author's note at the end talking about my struggle with, I abandoned this novel after, the 30-day NaNoWriMo deadline. I won the 50,000 words. I've got it. I did that. But after that, since there was no real deadline after that anymore, that I kind of just set it to the side and didn't really fiddle with it anymore. Next thing you know, life happens, and 5 years later down the road, I'm like, I've got to finish this novel. It will not get out of my head. So luckily, thankfully, I had the last 5 or 6 chapters, 1 line each, written down what I wanted to happen back then. So I didn't have to sit here and wonder about what's going to happen. I kind of always toyed with the idea in my head, didn't know for sure what was going to happen, but I got all that down, and I was able to find that. I printed that out, stuck it in this notebook that I just showed you, and spent the last week writing down what I can start writing on, which hopefully after this hangout, if I have time before my guitar lesson, I want to sit down and start writing. Now, what I've been doing up until this point is rereading the novel and kind of editing it. Okay, for the first 13 chapters, 12 or 13 chapters, or maybe 15, I was editing. In other words, reading and kind of proofing, correcting grammatical mistakes, and adding a few words here and there that needed clarification, taking all the old notes out that I had that was stuck in the middle of the text, all that stuff, incorporating it into Scrivener, all that stuff. Then, in my writer's group, I was telling people about this, and they were like, well, don't edit it right now. Just read it. Just get it all the way through. And then the more I studied about editing, the more I found out that a lot of that stuff you might not even use. You might cut a lot of it out. So here I was spending all this time editing stuff when who knows, half of it might be gone. So what's the point in doing that? I was just wasting time. And I guess really subconsciously I was delaying the inevitable that at some point when this novel when I get done reading this, that I have to go back and start writing to finish the rest of it. Now, that's a terrifying thing, because you're like, well, now we're at the end of the novel. I had a big streak going for a month. Now I've got to get back on the horse and start all over again from where I left off. How's it going to start? See, that's one thing I've been struggling with is, what am I going to start with? How am I going to start? And I just need to just jump in there and start writing. Even if it's junk, I can take it out later. Just start writing based on the notes that I've taken. Okay, so this may be a little scattered today. I'm just taking this as it comes because I've got it set up here in a certain order, but obviously we've already passed all the Wattpad stuff down into the novel. But anyway, it is what it is, okay? So I'm just trying to take this as it comes. But anyway, all the details of that is on that post that I told you about, the NaNoWriMo post in the show notes. And I may come back to that a little bit later. There's some other stuff to talk about concerning that. I may even talk about it more when I get down to it. But we're going to go back to the top here and try to discuss a little bit about Wattpad and this awesome mug that I was sent. I just started Wattpad probably a month, maybe 2 months ago. And I found out about it. This is going back to what I first initially was going to say. Back in October when I got heavily started on my novel. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was either from Joanna Penn, or it might have been from, for one reason, I'm going to think it might be from this book, Write, Publish, Repeat, by Sean Platt and Johnny B. Truitt with David Wright. Seems like they mentioned that in here, but I can't figure it out because there's no index. And guys, if you watch this later, it would be awesome if you had an index. Of course, obviously, what would be really cool is if I could purchase this on Kindle, but I can't find a match book for it. So I can't find the equivalent of this, even though I bought it online. I think I got it from Amazon, but there's no index of all the stuff that they mentioned in here. There is a beginning part that's got a little, outline of what all's contained in the book, like that. But there's no, if I need to find a certain word, like Wattpad, I can't go in the back and find it. But if I had my Kindle, I could do a word search if I had it on the Kindle. So I guess that's something I'm considering investing in because there's a lot in that book if I ever want to go back, and it's hard to find it if there's no index or some way to search for words. But anyway, it was either from Joanna Penn or that book that I heard about Wattpad. And they was talking about how it was a serialization kind of form where you can post up stories in serialized form. In other words, chapter by chapter by chapter. So you could be working on a book or a story, not have to have it all at once, and then every week or so update your story. And I thought, well, that's a cool idea. So I got to looking at a lot of the old short stories that I did as a exercise to a book called Now Write. Now, by the way, if you want to check out any of these products that I'm mentioning, there's a link also in the show notes. All you do is go to ericbeatty.com/shop. That is my affiliate Amazon link. That takes you directly to Amazon through my affiliate. And what happens is I get a commission off whatever you purchase through that link. That's to show your support for this channel. It doesn't cost you any extra. Amazon just gives me a very small percentage, 4%, 6%, something like that, of whatever you buy through Amazon through that link. And that helps me create all this content, helps me with hosting for my websites and getting all this stuff going so that I can have content going for you guys. So any of these products I mentioned, check it out on that link, ericbeatty.com/shop, and see if you can find it there. Okay, so anyway, and I thought I put that on vibrate. And anyway, I think Dad's watching. He's asked if people could talk to me on this Hangout, and I said, yeah. Let me put this on vibrate. But anyway, I've got 3 viewers. Awesome. I think that's the most I've had, period, at once. I'm doing really good. Anyway, I think I heard about it through them, Wattpad. And so I checked it out, and I was like, okay, this could be cool. So I looked at the old notebook I had of writing exercises from that book I just mentioned, Now Write. I think the name of the author is Sherry Ellis. She's since passed away. But she compiled and edited all these exercises from famous authors on, overcoming writer's block and plotting out the story and just, general things. This was from the first one. She's got like 5 of them now. This was from the first Now Write book. And so I got the idea of these short stories through that. And so I decided, since I'm in Wattpad, I'll go back and look at some of these short stories, see if they're any good. I know there was 2 of them that I had that I really liked. Those are the ones that I recently released, which I'll get into in just a second. So anyway, I'm on. Hey, Robert. Awesome. You're watching. Cool, dude. Appreciate it. This is how we comment. Awesome. Yes, and yes. That's a question. Is this how we comment? Yes, this is how you comment. You can comment on the questions, or let's see. You can actually probably comment on the actual event too, where it says say something down there. Q&A is just for asking questions, but I guess that might work too. I'm not sure. I've got it on my sidebar, so if you comment there, that's fine. All right, so anyway, Wattpad, I just started working with that, and I've posted those 2 short stories The first one is finished. The second one is about to be released on Wattpad, but I have those 2 short stories as a special incentive on my blog. So anyway, I have a Wattpad account. If you'll go to the account, if you'll go to the show the links, let me go here. If you go to the links in the either event on the sidebar, or if you're watching this later on, if you go to the show more area, you can see my Wattpad account where I'm creating stories. And also the NaNoWriMo post that I talked about on my blog is also there. Now, as I branch out, I would like to put some things on Wattpad that may not be necessarily on my blog. I don't have, you know, you can get here and you can get there and you get everywhere, you know. Something that's special to Wattpad, maybe. I don't know. Still new to this. So let's talk about this mug. I got the mug from the wonderful, gracious young ladies called the Wattpad 4, okay? This is the shout-out section of the Hangout today. I've got 3 shout-outs. One of them is the Wattpad 4, okay? There's a blog on Wattpad. It was on their blog, and it's called Meet the Wattpad 4. And I've got a link to that in the show notes, so you can check that out. They are the ones, they had a contest. I think it was on Twitter, or maybe it's Wattpad somewhere. But I found it, I think, on Twitter. And basically, this is not, I didn't win this for any of my stories or anything like that. But I entered it thinking, well, who knows, maybe I'll win it, maybe I won't. At the time, it was on like maybe 4 entries, I think. So they posted on Twitter, enter to win your very own Wattpad mug by the Wattpad 4. And so I entered it, and then like within a week, I heard back saying, congratulations, you just won this mug. And I'm like, awesome, validation. That's one word that come to mind immediately. When I got in the mail, I've actually saved the box. I got it from those guys. And Wattpad is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a Canadian-based company. And that's why I finally figured out that's why all these maple leaves are here. I was like, oh, that's pretty. Wait a minute. Maple Leaf Canada. Okay, I get it. So it came in this awesome box. It was very well protected. And they sent it to me, and I was like, validation. I can write, and I've got a mug to prove it. Who knows? Forget I've got a book or I've got a story. I've got a mug. So anyway, they sent me that, and I wanted to give a shout out to those guys. Please check those guys out. They're called the Wattpad 4. It's just Wattpad and then 4. And here's how to spell Wattpad so that I don't have to confuse you. That's how you spell it. Okay? All right. While it's here, might as well take a sip. Okay, so the next shout out. One of these ladies in the Wattpad 4 is also in this next group. And I'm looking on another monitor in case you're wondering. I've got all my show notes over here. The show notes that are on the event page in the sidebar, and the show notes they're the same ones on the show more area of YouTube. Okay, so I've got all those on my monitor so I can see what I'm doing. This other group is, I've got a YouTube link to them. They're called the Word Nerds. And I think on Twitter their name is YA Word Nerds. And that's why I listed it as it is in the show notes. These guys are hilarious, okay? These are 4 young women again. And one of them is in the Wattpad 4, and her name is Erin Latimer. And she's just recently got a publishing thing with a self-publishing imprint thing that's going on. She just recently released a announcement about that, so that's pretty exciting. And shout out to you, Erin, if you're here or if you watch this later. They're called the Word Nerds. They got all kinds of awesome, quirky writing advice on YouTube, and I've got a link to them. That's a shout out to them. I've learned a lot on how to succeed in Wattpad from them, and you know, they've got a lot of ideas, and a lot of it is all to do with engagement and community interaction. Not just all the ways pushing your story, but just, you know, being contributing to the community, because Wattpad is a social community for writers. It's like Facebook for writers. It's like Twitter for writers or something, you know. More so Facebook than Twitter because there's a lot more detail into it. But I wanted to give a shout out to the Word Nerds. That's Erin, there's Erica, Megan, and there's always one that I forget. There's always one name that I forget, but they're really cool and quirky and hilarious. The last shout out is for a recent video series called The Corner Booth. And I've got a YouTube link to that. It's a weird bunch of numbers after the YouTube channel, so they don't have their own user status yet. But it's called The Corner Booth. And if you just type in The Corner Booth in YouTube, you'll find it. But I've also got a link to it. This guy's name, I think, is Nat Fan. I know it's Nat something, but Fan might be the last name. I'm not sure. But he's got a panel of about 5 or 6 people on this hangout they have. And it's got the feel of a coffee house. They've got their little titles called Cream and Sugar and, you know, the entree. And it's kind of like a restaurant coffee house feel, the way they do their show. It's really interesting. They've got a lot of good information when it comes to writing and it comes to being successful on NaNoWriMo or Wattpad. Every week they do like shout outs to some Wattpad readers that have really inspired them and impacted them. So it's a really good community with it, full of advice and, you know, giving back to the community. So that brings me to the short stories I just mentioned about that I kind of gleaned from all these short stories that I had written as exercises from that book that I mentioned, Now Write. And I don't have a notebook with me, but it's just a small notebook, kind of like this. And actually, it's kind of a bigger notebook. But I found the 2 short stories, and one of them is called Proof, and one of them is called Blind Date. And those of you that have been following me lately know what all these, you know, kind of know the deal with this. But if you go to my blog, and there's a link to that as well. It's called My Short Stories, is on the show notes. You can go to ericbeatty.com/ and then it has this big long line of words. You can pick up those 2 short stories absolutely free. It was because of the inspiration that I received from Wattpad and from that mug and from all this other stuff, and from my goals of writing this year. And I've talked about this other places, you know, the focus goals that I have about writing more and getting better at writing and all this stuff that I've set up for the beginning of this year that inspired me to write. And I just wanted to give back. And it was something, the cool thing was it was already written. I wrote these short stories in about 2007. But I did have to go back and edit all this and make it sound better. And I actually entered one of the short stories to be featured in an anthology, a local author's anthology. Not sure if it's going to be there, if it's going to get published or not, because there's a lot of entries and a lot of interest in it. So, but I do know that I thought, well, I'm not going to wait until it gets published. I'll do it myself. And if it gets published, that's a bonus. But so I got these set up as to be inspired to write more on Wattpad, and just really enjoyed getting to know these stories again, and maybe adding a little bit here and there. Had my wife to help me edit some of this stuff, and had was reading them in some of my writers groups, getting some critiques about it. And so I thought, well, let's just go ahead and release these, and that's a good good way to do it, just to get it out there and see what people think about it. Maybe get some ideas and get some interest back into that. And so if you go to my blog, there is a section about the new short stories I have finally released, or they're finally here, and look at the show notes for that. What you do is you go there and you can read both of these absolutely free. All you got to do is just sign up for the mailing list, because that will help you stay informed when I'm doing other writing projects, releasing more things about writing, and blog posts, because that's all tied together. If you want to be updated about my blog, then you can sign up. If you want to be receive those short stories, you can sign up, and it shows you the 2 ways to get those. One of them is sign up, and it will be emailed to you. The other way is to wait for them to release on Wattpad. Now, Proof is done. It's finished. One thing that I am going to do probably soon, hopefully, is write another little excerpt on both of these stories exclusively for Wattpad, about maybe some of the behind the scenes, just some little things I can think of that may be interest to any of the readers on the writing process I have and things like that. So I figured I'll just do that on Wattpad and leave it as it is on my blog right now, the post itself. So sign up for that on the mailing list, and you'll get the free short stories. What it will happen is it will send you the first one. After you click on your confirmation, you have to click on the confirmation link. That is set up so that I know that you're a person and not a spam bot. Okay, You get a lot of spam trying to sign up for an email list when there's not even anybody there, and it just really racks up your subscription rate, and that can't be good. So you click the confirmation email when it gets in your email inbox, and you will receive the short stories one at a time. And this is to allow you to, enough time to read the short stories. Now, if you're like me, you'll probably sit down and read it in one sitting. That's fine, but it'll give you time. Within about a week, you'll get the next short story, and you'll get both of them. Then after that, this is very important. Now, this is not on Wattpad, but this is on the mailing list for getting these short stories. After you receive these short stories and you read them, there is another email that's going to come out asking you to give me some feedback. What do you think about it? You know, all these different ideas of some of your feedback that you could give me on what do you think about my story? How could I make the characters more engaging? At what point were you bored? And, you know, when did you put the book down? Or just things that I need to know as a writer, just coming back into this world of fiction. I need to know these things so that I can better perfect my craft and make stories better for you guys that want to read them. Okay. So that's the purpose of doing this whole thing as an email subscription, is you'll get updates from my blog and anything that happens on the blog, as well as it helps me interact with you and build my stories better so that I can, you know, give them out to you and you can enjoy them better. Okay, so that's the deal with my short stories. Okay, the next thing is the novel updates and strategies. Now, I kind of already went over this earlier. I said that we had talked about how I've just finally finished plotting the rest of the novel here. Now, I already had this set up when I abandoned it way back in 2009. If you're just tuning in live, you just have to rewind it later and see what this whole story was about. But I finally finished this week, finishing up the rest of the notes of what I wanted to happen in this book. Now, a lot of people have this whole debate about, are you a plotter or a pantser? And what that means is, if you're a plotter, then you plot your novel out and you know what's going to happen next, and you write all this stuff out. And a lot of people say, well, there's no room for creativity when you do this. But actually, there's a lot of room for creativity, because you don't have to, it's not set in stone. It's to give you an idea of where to go. It's kind of like a roadmap. If you veer off on some side roads, that's fine, you know. As long as the story comes out in a nice story ending and all this, and everything syncs up, there's plenty of room for creativity. If you're a pantser, P-A-N-T-S-E-R, I think that's how you spell that. That means you write by the seat of your pants. You write it as it comes and just blow through it, and whatever happens, happens. Stephen King is one of the big proponents for writing this way. And I heard a great argument about this on a site called Novel Writing Help, and that is novel-writing-help.com. I think he talked about, when it comes to plotting or pantsing or whatever, he talked about Stephen King is good at this, but he's had like 30, 40 years of experience of writing. So he kind of knows how stories work. He kind of knows the structure. He kind of knows how his style, how he writes. He knows what's coming next, in other words, in a lot of situations. He might not know the ending, but even though he won't have like a big outline or everything, every writer has to know something about their story before they can start writing. I mean, even if it's just one idea, otherwise, you know, you're not going to be writing anything. And even if you are writing something like a free write, you're just sitting writing whatever comes to your mind, there are things that's going to happen that's going to cause you to kind of prepare in your head. Oh, this could happen next. That could happen next. So you're still preparing along the way. Now, the reason I said that is because my experience with this NaNoWriMo novel is I pantsed it all the way through. I didn't have an outline. I didn't have an idea of anything that I wanted to do until I went along and things kind of came. They kind of showed up. The character kind of motivated some of the action, some of the storylines, and some of the plot twists came to mind as I was writing. But like I said, it all formulated as I was writing. Well, the problem with that is you don't know where you're going as far as like what happens when you get a writer's block, when you get stuck, what's going to happen next. Having done all this research and experienced myself the idea of having to write all this stuff at once without any plan, I wanted to go back and try to plan the remainder of the story, which is about 5 or 6 chapters left to tell the story. So I wanted to go back and try that, because I tried the whole pantsing thing and I abandoned that. I didn't really, continue on with that. I'm not saying that that's why I abandoned it, but I'm just saying that I tried that. And when I started going back over the novel and reading it this last couple months, man, I'd forgotten half the stuff that was there. And I also had to put it into Scrivener because it was a huge bunch of Word files. So I had to put all that into Scrivener, write all the synopses of everything that happened. And that was a pain because at least if I wrote it out already and I abandoned it, I could come back and instead of having to read the whole novel, I could read the outline of what happens. So that would have been awesome. So having tried that, I've decided I'm going to go back and I'm going to plot the rest of it out. Even though it's just 5 chapters, I want to try it that way. There's a great book. And also you can go to ericbeatty.com/shop, that link that I told you about, to check this out. It's by a woman named Rachel Aaron. She has written many books on, I think his name is Eli Moon Press, if I'm not mistaken. It's a fantasy story type thing. I think it's young adult fiction. It might be something I might be interested in reading sometime because I kind of like her style. But there's a book that she has based on a couple blog posts. One of the blog posts is how to get from 2,000 words to 10,000 words writing. And the other one is how I plot my novel in 5 steps. Now, I think the name of her blog is Pretentious Title or Pretentious Blog or something like that. If you go on the internet and look up Rachel Aaron, now this is not a link on the show notes. This is just, you know, a bonus thing. It just came to mind. If you'll look that up, you'll find these blog posts. It's one of her most popular blog posts is the 2,000 to 10,000, 2K to 10K. And she's got a book called 2K to 10K. And I actually downloaded it, and I've got it on my Kindle, and I'm reading it. It's only 99 cents, and I recommend it to anybody who wants to learn how to write. She's got some ideas on editing. This is my Kindle, by the way. She's got some ideas on editing that I've never heard anywhere else. And I mean, I was blown away. I was like, you mean I don't have to sit there and go line by line by line and figure it all out? She basically chunks it out into different sections and stuff like this. And I'm like, my mind is blown now. Thank you. So really good stuff. It's called 2K to 10K. It's a big red cover with the letters in kind of a diagonal slant. The color of the letters and the text is yellow. So check out ericbeatty.com/shop. It'll take you right to my Amazon link where you can purchase that. But so I've attempted using what I've learned there and some other wonderful writing resources, which are also listed on my blog. Wonderful writing resources I found on the internet. I've decided, let's go ahead and plot this thing out. Let's go ahead and work on it. Okay. And this is brings me to the next point where it says my attempt at a sketch for story structure. And that is, in case the link ever goes down, it's a Twitter link. So in case that ever goes down, I want to show it to you right here. Okay. From the writing workshop I've been attending at Foxleaf Bookstore here in Cookeville, I've learned that the main tripod of writing is plot, setting, and character. And that tripod, upon that tripod rests story. That's your story, the main 3 points. And I thought, well, I'm going to draw this out as a little grid. So notice how the story circle is connected to all the different lines. There's no gaps there. I made that on purpose. So we have a triangle of plot, setting, and character. And these are different points that I put on that. Now there's that link on there takes you to an image of this, okay? In case it ever goes down, I wanted to show it to you right here. So that's just some ideas that I've gleaned from plotting and learning how to plan your story out. So this is kind of guideline. Now I can erase this. I'll erase this now that it's online. I can refer to it again, but I just want to show that to you. So that's what I intend to do is I've plotted this out, and hopefully today, when this Hangout is over, I'm going to start typing the first words, because all I've been doing up to this point is reading and editing, and then reading and then just doing a little bit of editing here and there, you know, not as much as I was at the beginning. It's all plotted out here, and now I just need to sit down and write it. And I've been avoiding that. That's one of the quotes that's very popular is writers will do anything they can to avoid writing, because it is staring at the blank page and not knowing what comes next is so intimidating. Any creative person knows this. Whenever you're trying to do a new creative endeavor, it just is so hard. It's so intimidating, and there's a fear there, but you have to overcome that fear. Okay. So let me just take a second. I don't see any comments anywhere. So I'm going to go back to my other event page that I had for the other Hangout that kind of crashed. I'm going to go back to that and make sure nobody's on there because I redirected them to this Hangout event instead. Because I want to make sure that that is nobody is commenting on that one. Okay, nobody's commenting on that one. It's not there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that up for today, and then after today, I will delete that. And nobody's commenting on the current Hangout. Let me make sure that it still doesn't sound like a chipmunk. Hopefully, everything's going all right. Nobody's commenting on that one. Good deal. All right, so we're good to go. Okay, so back to what I was talking about here. If you have any questions or comments, if you're viewing this in the actual event page viewer, there is a questions section where you can ask a question about any of the stuff I'm going over. You can also chime in. You should also be able, if you got a webcam, to just join me if you need to. Most of my Hangouts have been just me talking because there usually aren't a lot of viewers to come and join out or join the conversation. It does not tell me right now who is viewing this Hangout. I know Chad was viewing earlier, Chad Boston, and I know Randy Shardiger was going to try to come and watch. I don't know if he got to make it or not. And I know my dad was going to try to watch. So I don't know who's viewing. So it'd be cool if you could just give me a comment or some way inform me who is viewing. And I know Robert's viewing. So I can't find no place to comment. All right. So that's Dad. Hey, Chad, I see your comment. Dad, if you're watching this, you're probably watching it on the actual page that it's listed on. And when you click the play button, it probably opens the video so that you can actually watch it. And what you can do is when you're in, let me go ahead and start this, and I will mute this thing so that it's not repeating everything I say. Viewing. So, okay. So if you're watching this in the actual thing, actually, let's go ahead and do this. For those of you later that may need some help with this, I'm going to share my screen, okay? So if Dad's watching this, he should be able to share see this going on. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Where is it at? Right here. Okay. All right. Here is my screen, okay? So I'm going to print this to everyone, all right? So here's my screen. If you're on this page, by the way, if you were on this page, this is the one that was messed up and sounds like a chipmunk, and I'll delete that later. All you have to do is I've put a link here. Hangout is moving due to technical Google difficulties, okay? So you click on this link, and it will take you to this page, all right? Let me show you. Click on it, and it takes me to the page, the right page, all right? So it takes me to this one. And all you have to do is see this say something, just type something in there, okay? Just type it in there, and that you can comment that way. If you're actually watching this, and by the way, when I say the show notes, this right here says read 81 lines, click on that, and everything I'm mentioning is right here. You can click on these links and find all these different information about them, okay? What I recommend doing is right-clicking. So you use the right mouse button and then tell it to open the link in the new tab. That way you don't leave this actual page, okay? So if you're watching this, it's probably going to be watching it right here. Now, if you have a question about something, there is a Q&A app, and I'll show you how to do that. Let me close that back. Let me show you how to ask a question. You see this Q&A thing right here? All you have to do, let's see if this works. All right. I think. Okay, I don't see a Q&A happening for some reason. Let me go over here. I'm not sure why it's not showing a Q&A. There's a little bit of a delay. That's what you're seeing right now. So here's the question, and that's my questions app here, and apparently it's working because, well, that didn't work. You can't see that because I'm not sharing that screen. Okay, give me just a second, guys. We'll get on to the rest of this stuff here. There should be able to, if you, oh, I may have not enabled this. Well, I must have enabled the questions app because people are asking questions on it. Usually you can click right here on the Q&A and click on that to ask a question. For some reason it's not working on this one, but you can still go down here and type in your comment, whatever you want it to be, okay? So definitely check that out if you're having problems commenting. You need to go to this event page so that I can watch your comment, okay? That's the best way to do it. Now, just in case, let me click that one more time. It says this Q&A is there, so I don't know why it's not showing up. This right here is something I'm supposed to be able to add myself, so I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go back to get out of the screen sharing mode because that's kind of confusing. So we're back, okay? So I've got the Q&A enabled, and I don't know why it's not working. So maybe Chad and Robert can let me know what's going on with that. It's not showing up from what I can tell on the event page, even though it is enabled, or it wouldn't let me do this. Okay, so anyway, as far as the rest, let me wrap the writing thing down. Some other updates on writing is I have almost finished my ecosystems journal. I have that much left. I'm so excited. I really kept try to keep this writing up that I've been doing. Got some really good, excellent ideas in here. I've dubbed this my whatever happens journal. So, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in here. I can come back for this for years and years for content, for blog posts, for maybe some stories if there are any in here. There's a lot of good webinars in here on writing and business stuff. And so the next one I'm going to try to work on, I've really enjoyed this ecosystems journal, by the way. It's really good. It's got perforated pages. I was first recommended this, I think, by Michael Hyatt. The reason he said he really enjoyed it over Moleskine is because the perforated pages come out and you can just scan it. And he uses Evernote a lot, so you can just scan it and go to Evernote. And that way, if you need it online, you can have online access anywhere. So the next one I was thinking about doing after this one is a company called Poppin', and their slogan is "Work Happy." Now, that's one of these. And I found these at my local Staples. I've got two of them, actually. Okay, I've got two of these. I haven't opened this one. I opened this one earlier, about, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't used it yet because I realized that I could use another notebook that I have here for some just writing idea notes. But their slogan is, I don't know if you can see that. It's right there. It says "Work Happy." And I found these at my local Staples. And they're just a little bit cheaper. The big ones are, the ones that are this size, are just a little bit cheaper than the ecosystem journals. Now, I really highly recommend these. These are really nice. They have held up. They're durable. They've got a little pocket in the back. So do these. But these are very similar, and they've got all kinds of different colors, not just limited to 5. They've got really bright colors. And I thought I'd try one of those for the next notebook. But anyway, I decided not to use this one yet. This is going to be from any story ideas I have or anything like that. But I've been using this one, and I almost got it done as well. This is one you can't get anymore. It's called a Readables, and it was by Books A Million, and they've had it a long time ago. They had a pocket too. I think that was their attempt to try to mimic a Moleskine, and they're called Readables. And I don't think you can get these anymore. These were specifically for Books A Million. Okay, so that's what I've kept a little jacket here. It says, if you have something to say and no one is around to hear it, write it down. Naturals. Pocket size because you'll never know where you'll be or who will be there when you have something to say, so write it down. So I've had this notebook. There's a story in here that I abandoned a long time ago. I don't think I'll get back to it, but the cool thing is it's in this book. It is saved so that I can, if I want to use any of the lines in this in another story, I can go back and kind of glean what I need to out of that. But I've been using this for like little writing ideas. And the cool thing about this is I've been worried for the longest about creating new stories, because with my 2 short stories, they was already written. I just had to go back and edit them. With my novel, it's already written, but now I'm getting into the new writing because I've got to finish the remaining 5 or 6 chapters, so that's new. But as far as a new idea, see, I could build off something there. With a new idea, I was like, well, what am I going to do without a new idea? You know, I don't want to always have to go back to something I've already written. I want to constantly be creating something new. So finally, a new idea came to me the other day, and I wrote it down here. I'm not going to say what it is, but this is probably what I'm going to work on after I finish my novel, because I'm really bad with what Aaron Latimer calls shiny object syndrome. And I get an idea and I'm like, okay, let's work on that. But no, I've got this other stuff to do. So you've really got to focus on one thing at a time. And if I write it down, it's here for me to go to when I'm ready to, when I can. So I've got about, let's see, about two or three pages front and back of this new story that I've got. And it's coming, and as I think about more stuff to add to it, I'll put it in here. And so that's how much I've got left in that one. When that one's done, I'll go to that orange notebook. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening here. I'm actually sticking with this writing thing. I'm really full force. I'm going to the writing groups, writing workshops, looking at writing stuff online. I've got notebooks. There is a point to where you get, like me, you get the feeling like you're doing more researching about writing than the actual writing itself. So you really got to focus on, you know, not let yourself do that. And one thing that I've heard recommended, I think by Roz Morris in her book, Nail Your Novel, is allow yourself, or it may be Stephen Pressfield's book, which I don't seem to have right here. It may be in my other library. His book, The War of Art. I think he may mention this, and that is not allow yourself to research more than 3 topics and then start writing, because procrastination is the biggest thief of time. I mean, you put things off and you try to do things later, and before you know it, it's a month later and you're hitting yourself in the head thinking, man, I could have got so much of this done. So I'm really bad to procrastinate due to fear and worry and all this stuff. But I was actually laying in bed last night and I was thinking, and I wish I could have wrote this down, but I'd already got settled and everything. I was like, I'm not going to get up and write this down. Maybe someday it'll become a blog post or something. But it was, you know, the fear is of not being good enough at your art, and always, you know, because I'm a big perfectionist too. So I was sitting there in the bed thinking, who says it has to be good? Who cares if it's good? Whose standard is that? When you start trying to live to other people's standards of good, or a good story, or the writing is, you know, good, that causes you, it constricts you, it limits you, causes you to worry, causes you to be afraid. And this is going to be with writing. This could be with anything, any kind of art that you're into or whatever. Your way of self-expression. So who's to say that my writing's not good? Why worry about if it's good? Why not just do it? Because if at least if it's done, I can go back and correct. I can go back and edit. I can go back and mold it, shape it a little bit better. If it's not done, if it's not on paper, I can't do anything with it, okay? So instead of being worried about, oh, where am I going to start? How am I going to get started? Why not just write for 10 minutes about anything? Start free writing. And I've learned lately that that's a really good tool to get through writer's block, to just bust through it. Is just sit down and write down your ideas. Write down, you know, where's this story need to go? Like if I'm going to go on the NaNoWriMo thing, I may just take a whole section and say, here's what I need to happen. I want this to happen here. I want that to happen there. And before I know it, I'm in the dialogue of the characters, or I'm in the story, and I can start from there, okay? So I was just sitting there, laying down in bed thinking, you know, don't worry about if it's good. Just get it down. Just get it out there. You can make it good later. It doesn't have to be good, because no writer is perfect. They're not going to get it right the first time. There's multiple drafts. Even with Stephen King, he goes through, I think, at least 3 drafts. And I think he calls it either 3 drafts and a polish or 2 drafts and a polish. And then editors are going to get it and all this. So the point is to make it better later, but you can't make anything better if you don't have a substance to work with, okay? All right, now that's it for the writing, okay? Let's go to the other update section and try to go through the rest of this section here. Chad says to click the 9 square box. Or I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about here. Chad, if you could elaborate on that. Not exactly sure what you mean. Or if you even mean if it's on the event page. So maybe let me go ahead and start the video again and mute myself here so that you don't have to hear that. Oh, it's already muted. Well. Oh, okay. All right. I think I see you, Chad. All right. Let's go back to screen sharing. If on how to enter questions. Let me screen share this again. Thanks for letting me know that, Chad. I kind of ignored that because that's mainly something I used to go from Google account to another Google account, another Google app. So let me go ahead and screen share here, and we'll get back to how to do that. And if you're watching this, Dad. Okay, so now we're on the screen. So this is the event page. I said you can comment here, or you can go and like you're watching. So you click on this and you start watching, and it'll start playing. See this little square box right here? This box, if you click it, it will switch between showcase and Q&A. Now, if you have a question, not just a general question, but if you have a question that relates to this this particular Hangout or a particular subject I'm talking about, like if you had a question on writing, or if you have a question on, these tech updates I'm about to do, like what do you think about this this update, or what do you think about this product? If you've got all that, then that'll help. So you just go to that box, click on Q&A, and what happens is it will give you the Q&A. The showcase is for if I have links to share. Now, I didn't do that because that took a lot of time to populate all that, and so I've left that in the show notes area. So what I can do is you can plus this question. If it's a question you want to see me answer, you can plus it. Okay, you can say, I'm going to vote for it. I want this question answered. And what I will do on my end is I will select that question, and it will become a question in the video itself. Let me go ahead and shut this screen sharing thing down here so that oh, that ain't what I needed to go to. I hit the wrong thing. Okay, so now what that will do is I will select the question, and what happens is within the viewer, if you're watching this in the event viewer later on, that question will be entered into this viewer, and you can click on me to answer that question, and it will jump forward to that section of the video where I answer that question. So that's pretty cool. Thanks, Chad, for that. Really made a difference. I've got 4 viewers now. Thanks so much for watching. We just finished the update section on the writing. There's a whole section on writing. We've probably been talking about 45 minutes on that alone. So I'm going to kind of speed through the rest of this if I can. All right, now we're on the section of the show notes where it talks about other updates. Oh, by the way, if you get on Wattpad, there's the groups I mentioned earlier, the Wattpad 4 and the Corner Booth. People that have little groups like that, they give away stuff all the time. So if you just enter one of the giveaways, you could probably get your Wattpad mug. I don't know if there's another way to get it. If you email Wattpad and see if you can get a good mug for that, I don't know. But there's a lot of good stuff on there. So if I can remember, and if I probably won't, but if I can, I'm going to try to put a link on here to a really good video about Wattpad. And if I forget, just look up the video by Joanna Penn. And I think her name is Ashley Gardner, if I'm not mistaken. She is like one of the main people that work at Wattpad. She's got some awesome ideas on getting noticed, getting your stories out there on Wattpad. Really good, like 45-minute interview with Joanna Penn and this woman about Wattpad. If you'll just go YouTube, search for that in case I forget to put the link. I'd recommend you watch that. All right, now for the other updates. Bluegrass Guitar Essentials DVDs. Man, oh man, has this been a problem. Virtual assistant I've had for the last few months had kind of gone off the radar, and just recently he got back with me and said he was going to try to upload these again. He said that he sent the remaining files that I needed, but I never got them. I never downloaded them, never seen them anywhere. He's going to resend them, and we'll see what happens. But as of right now, the DVDs are on hold until I know for sure that these ISO files are coming. So if you have been subscribed to my Bluegrass Guitar Essentials mailing list, you already know this, but just letting everybody else here know that. You can still get the webisodes. I'm still seeing traffic on people wanting to purchase the webisodes. So they're still enjoying that, and it's still available there. They're just $25 a piece, and the first webisode, 1 and 2 actually, is absolutely free. You get a really cool ebook with that. It has a lot of bonus material on where to find your gear online that I recommend in the video, and gear that I've found since recording the videos. So it's really good. That one's free. The rest of them are just $25 a piece, and there are a total of, I think, 7 webisodes. The last one is in 2 parts because that's just the way I designed it. It was so big it couldn't fit in 1 part. So the DVDs are on hold right now until I can figure out. I wanted really desperately to do a workshop this summer for the Bluegrass Guitar Essentials course here at Peachtree, where I teach at Peachtree Learning Center. But I don't think I'm going to get the DVDs in time, and it's kind of late to advertise that now. And I don't want to have a workshop without a physical product in my hand. Yes, the webisodes are available, but I want the people to leave with something other than, here's the webisodes, go check them out, or information that I'm sharing. I want it to be an actual physical product. Say, hey, here's your copy if you want it right now, and here it is. So I want to be able to do that. Maybe that'll happen in the fall. I don't know. I've already got a page set up for signups on the workshop, but it's kind of on hold right now until I get the DVDs, because I can't do anything else until I get those. So that's the update for the DVDs. I have a brand new song. It's electric guitar instrumental, and we're going to test out one of my upgrades here in just a second. Hopefully this will be all right. I'm going to have to open up GarageBand. And Robert, if you're still watching, I'm going to play a sample of this song, okay? If it doesn't crash. Hopefully it won't crash. One of the upgrades, well, let's just do that. The next section is about the upgrades. The first one on there is a RAM upgrade. I've been dying for a RAM upgrade for years, okay? I've got this Mac Mini that my wife basically transferred over to me when she got her laptop a couple years ago. So I've been working on it, and for the last 3 years or so. Okay, so working on that, and it looks like it's getting started, so don't panic. Check. Okay. I've been working on this Mac Mini for years. It's a mid-2011 model. It's a really good computer. I love Macs. But I just recently upgraded the memory from 4 to 8 gigs, and I'm using Crucial memory, the brand Crucial. And it's 1333 megahertz, I think. I realized that you got to do some research on which type of memory your computer takes, if it's a Mac. So you got to do it with any of them, but it's not just because it says the name brand 8 gigs that's going to be the one you need. You got to really do some research on this. And I found the one that I wanted, installed it in like 3 minutes, and it's up and running. I haven't had an opportunity to really push it, so I haven't used GarageBand since I've upgraded it. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I've got the basis foundation for this song, okay, that I want to do. And I want to push the memory, see if it's going to do better. I can still see that it's lagging a few places. That might not be the memory. That might be the fact that I need to do a complete wipe on the Mac and go from scratch, because she had a user account. I deleted that. There may still be some files hanging out or something from that. So as much as I hate to do it, I probably need to do a wipe and of the whole computer, format it and everything. But unless it gets really boggy slow, I probably won't fool that, because that's a pain. Hopefully this memory will save the day, this extra memory. So let me screen share again, and we're going to go with the GarageBand and show you what I'm working on, okay? So we're going to screen share with that. We're going to present it to everyone. I think everyone should be able to see this. All right, so this is the song I'm working on. It's called Lean, and there's a little bit of story behind this song. This is actually a well, I thought that would take it all the way home. Maybe it's this one. All right. Excuse me. This is a song that is actually a contemporary kind of kind of contemporary Christian song that I wrote way back when I was starting to write songs. And this is called it's based off a song called Let Me Lean. And the lyrics are, let me lean on you, Jesus. Let your love shine down full and free. When my soul cries out and there's a shadow of doubt, oh Lord, Jesus, let me lean on thee. And that's the melody you're going to hear in this is what that's going to be. Now, this is just the rhythm, okay? This is not the actual lead. I am actually waiting. Hopefully, they're out there. I doubt it. I'm actually waiting on some new Ernie Ball hybrid slinky strings to put on my Strat. Now, my Strat has been, the truss rod, I think, is completely useless. I've tried going forwards, I've tried going backwards, and it's not moving a bit. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll increase the tension gauge on my strings. Much as I hate to do that, I'm used to playing with 9-42s, but I decided to get some hybrids. And I thought, well, let's do Ernie Ball. They worked pretty good the last time I put them on. Couldn't really find any Dunlop that I wanted. And I really like Dunlop, but Ernie Ball's been doing all right. So I found a 3-pack of hybrid slinkies, which are 9-46. So that will increase the gauge a little bit, hopefully put a little bit of bow in that neck. So I'm waiting for them to come in before I do any of the lead stuff. I just changed the strings on my Ibanez. So it's ready to go. I may do the lead on that, but I'd like to get the strings changed so that I can get it all down in one hour or one sitting. So this is what it sounds like. Hopefully you guys can hear this. And I'm just going to play it all the way through. And let's see what you think about it. And that is the song Lean. Hopefully you can tell the difference between this rhythm track and this rhythm track. This one is Ibanez. This one is my Strat. Okay, it's the same setting and everything. It's just, it does have a different, little bit of a twang there. I really like that. Now I did this before I changed the string, so I mean I wanted to get it down. And this one is this is Ibanez. Notice the name here: Ibanez strumming clean rhythm. Okay, strumming is the name of the setting that I have on my Logitech RP 350. Yeah, it's the 355. Excuse me, the Logitech RP 355 that I've sung the praises of many times. It denotes the guitar I'm using and the actual setting. So this setting is the Petrucci. It's got my chorus with it. This setting is the Petrucci, but it's the Strat, and it's got my chorus with it. So hopefully you guys will stay tuned for that. I'd like to get that done very soon, as soon as these strings are changed and everything, and I can get the thing going on. Obviously, the rhythm is probably not going to be that loud because I'm going to have some lead behind that. But this is basically kind of like a praise and worship song or something. Just usually what I do is when I get to these things, this was a tune that was in my head, and I just started hearing it over and over and over again. And I'm sitting here going, I've got to get this down. Usually when it bothers me enough, I just go back and get it down. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stop screen sharing. And so that was really cool in the sense that it didn't lag or anything. So this memory must be working very good. And that is, like I said, we're going to the tech review section. That is the Crucial Memory Kit. Now, Robert, if you're watching, hopefully you enjoyed that. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that, and it'll sound a lot better once I get the lead put to that. I'm really enjoying playing with my Ibanez, which you can see back here, a headstock right there. And my Strat is, I haven't changed the strings on the Strat in over a year. Okay, so and that's, you haven't seen the Strat in a while. So that's, if you remember, that's this one right here. It's got my logo on there for my Texas Blues guitar course. That's my Strat. And there's absolutely no bow whatsoever on this. I've adjusted the truss rod, and I've decided let's up the gauge of the strings before we go and buy a $200 neck, because I don't want to fool that. I love this neck. It's the original neck. Everything on this is stock except for the pick and the tuners, which are Spurzle locking. I've went over this on some other videos, so I'm not going to really go on it right now. The aggravating thing with this is there is a trim center in the back. So if I adjust the gauge of the strings, I'm going to have to fool with that, and that's a pain in the butt to work with. So, but anyway, so that let me get this set back up here where it won't fall over. So that my Ibanez doesn't get jealous. Let's go ahead and show that one off again. So this is my Ibanez RG4EX1. Love this thing. I've had it over a year now. I actually did an initial review, you know, and a year later review on this. If you'll do search on my YouTube channel. Edge 2 tremolo system, Wizard 3 neck. I always get those backwards, but I'm pretty sure I got it right that time. The pickups are stock. If I had my way, I would change this to a tone zone. These two would probably be Evolution pickups. I love the tone zone. That's what I've got in my Strat, by the way. The two rails that you've seen, my Strat was the Chopper and the Tone Zone S. Love that sound of that guitar. Yeah, I love the shark tooth inlay, and also the standard Ibanez neck and everything. Beautiful, beautiful instrument. Love it. Body is basswood. The top is quilted maple. Really, really good, fun instrument to play. And that's what I'll actually be doing the video of me doing all that stuff. So anyway, that's the update status. And now we're going on into the tech reviews. Well, I was talking about the memory that I installed. I can't really do a review on it, but I can do a review on the installation process. A breeze. It took like 3 minutes to do, and it was done. With a Mac Mini, it was so easy to install it. You just turn it upside down, untwist the bottom, and then pop the little things that the memory is contained in, slide the memory out, put the new memory in, lock it back in place, lock the lid back in place, turn it upside down, turn it on. You're done. I mean, easy. And if you didn't understand any of that, go Google it. How to change memory in a Mac Mini if you have one. Very easy. I'd like to have a big power Mac, the Mac, the big old power cylinder they got. But if nothing else, my next computer will probably be another, if it's not a laptop, it'll be some version of a Mac Mini. I'm really pleased with it. So that's the RAM. The next thing I'm going to talk about, it says there's a keyboard there, okay? I'm not going to go over that yet. I'm going to go over the lights that I'm talking about. Now, these are SuperNight LED lights. And let me see if I can turn these on for you guys so you can at least see what I'm talking about here. The lighting's going to be terrible if I actually turn the computer off. But just look around here, back down in here, you see these wires. Look around in that area and see if you can see this. See that? These are LED lights that I can change. I think I've got them on the brightest setting. I can change these LED lights to whatever color I want to. And this is really good. I love ambient lighting. Lighting that kind of just, you see on the top of a ceiling that kind of points upward, and it kind of just gives a nice little coffee shop, feel. And this really helps, when you're trying to get in the writing mood, or if you want to watch a movie or something, you can get some lights going on. There's also some effects like flash where they change. You can get like a strobe effect where it comes in and out, you can get where it goes just to, gently fades from different colors, and you can get a smooth effect where it changes to the 3, primary colors. Or you can just set, whatever you want to. Now, this is all these different colors here you can change to, okay? Now, they're not exactly, I wouldn't really call them exactly what the color looks like here, what they change to. But the blues are my favorite. That's the division of the green here. That whole green is my favorite. I really like the second blue setting too. It's either this one or this one. It makes it look like a black light. I mean, it lights up everything that's white. I mean, I really enjoy it. And I think it's the second setting there. I don't think it's the purple. I think it's actually the one of the blue. I've really enjoyed having these lights, but there's one problem. They do not stick. The sticky stuff on the back is terrible. These lights are awful as far as stickiness. I have found they don't really get hot though. I mean, you can touch them, you can have them on for hours, and they don't get hot. Cool thing is you can actually cut them in two. There's a little line, you can cut them to the length that you want. Well, I did this and I put it on, and I even got, when they started falling off, I even got some that two-sided foam sticky stuff that you see on the back of like whiteboards and stuff. See that sticky foam stuff? I even put thin strips of that all the way around my desk, and that didn't hold. So I mean, it's aggravating. I've actually had to kind of wedge the lights around the corners of the desk and in like drawers, and kind of slam doors on them so that they'll stay put. That's the only complaint I have about that, is that they fell off within like a couple hours, or maybe not even that, within putting them on. They're good for effect for lighting and things like that. And you can also, buy little things to where you can chain a bunch of them together. This is 16 feet. So this desk itself, I think was about 7 feet all the way around. So I had a little bit extra left over, and I think I put it back in the bag, wherever the bag is. Put it back in the bag of the package that it came with. But it's other than the fact that it won't stick, it's good. It's really good lighting. So I don't know if you got something you can stick on a flat surface and it's not going to go anywhere, then I would recommend them. But I don't know what you could do. Once you get them, just take super glue or something. I mean, I don't know, because it just kept falling off. So that's the other tech upgrade. Let me look at my comments here, make sure we're doing all right. All right, nothing new. Let me take a swig of my now growing cold coffee. All right, the last review is the brand new keyboard I got. Now, let me just tell you right now what happened to the other keyboard. This lovely Apple keyboard we see here, it's totally useless now. And I'll show you why. See that? That's the main suspect right there. That's the culprit. Kitty decided to come in here, wanted attention. While I was typing, all of a sudden my keyboard didn't work anymore. I'm going everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? I look under my desk, and there's Kitty. And I see this huge gap in my keyboard. And it's useless. I actually worked around to where it could actually type just a little bit, but then just the faintest little move, it's offline again. So this keyboard is absolutely useless now, people. I really enjoyed having that number pad too. That really helped because I do a lot of calculations for business books and stuff like that every month. So now this keyboard, it's useless. Can't use it. So I had to, and even the cord that she used as an extender cord, she chewed the mess out of that. It looks even worse than this cord. And I think I may have it down here. Yeah, see this? This is the extender cord. That's what she did to it. Now this was my attempt to wrap that around the other part of the keyboard that was, messed up, and trying to get it to, work, but that didn't work. So now this is useless too. So I just kept that as a reference to show you guys. So I mean, I can't even use this now. So it's trash. It's gone. Okay. So don't let your cat around your keyboard, especially if it's a $120 or so Apple keyboard. Okay. Now, rather than getting an Apple keyboard, I decided let's go wireless, so that Kitty will not eat my wires. Well, for one thing, she is banished from this room now. She is not coming back in this room. When I catch her in here, she's gone. So the door is closed right now, and I've got to where I'll leave the door open so at least she knows I'm here. And so, but if I see her coming in, she's out. I'll kick her out, okay? I can fix that for you. I don't know, Dad, if you can. This is, I can bring it down, but they have got their, I mean, look at this stuff. Probably can't see that. This is like not even wires. This is like a bunch of thread. I don't know how they work this stuff out. I mean, I can bring it to you, see what you can do with it. But they have, Apple is very, complex when it comes to their stuff. I'll keep it and we'll see what happens. I mean, I can bring it down to you and we can see what happens. That's a dad texting me on the phone. So I decided, let's go wireless. Let's check this out. So I did a lot of research, and I didn't want to have to wait on Amazon for this stuff to come in the mail. So I went to the local computer place here in town called Laptop Dudes and found this keyboard. Okay. This is a Logitech. Now this is a K400 is what it says, but he gave me the box to something else or something. I don't know. This is white, but there's two different ones. There's a K400 and there's a K400R. I can't remember which one's which. I thought the R was for the black one, but it's not, because the back of this keyboard that I have, it says K400R right there. There's an R. So I don't know the differences very much. Okay, you can't see that. K400R. There you go. So I don't know. Now, this keyboard so far has been working very awesomely. Okay. It takes a while to get used to because it's not the same key style. The keys aren't flat like you saw on the Apple computer. They're not, in other words, they look like a regular keyboard. They don't have the gaps in between the letters like the other ones did. Okay. Now, this is my review on this keyboard for a Mac. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and do the review here and not have to do as a separate video. It says their big thing is wirelessly control your TV connected to your laptop. So that's their big, selling point. You got wireless convenience up to 33 feet, plug and play. It's got just a little nano receiver. You stick it in the back of your computer and it works. You don't have to worry about installing software or anything. It works fine. Stylish minimalist design, 1-year battery life. Enjoy using your keyboard for a full year without having the hassle of changing batteries. There's an on and off switch that helps you save power when not in use, and that's that button right there. Whenever I get done, I flip that thing off. Okay, now the little thing here, it's got a 2. Keyboard battery life calculations estimated based on an estimated 2 million keystrokes a year in an office environment. User experience may vary. Now, I'm not going to sit here and count my keystrokes, okay? I just know that a year is pretty good. With me, my opinion was, now my wife tried to steer me away from wireless keyboards, but I'm sitting here going, I don't want to chance that again. And wired keyboards it's been a hassle actually. So I decided, well, this says 1 year battery life, and I'm thinking, well, since the time she had her wireless keyboard, whenever that was, technology is gotten better by leaps and bounds. So maybe they figured out a way to make the battery life extended. And apparently this keyboard does that. It's also got a multi-touch keypad. I found that I can use a few gestures. I can use the tap click. It's kind of iffy off and on when you double if you're used to a trackpad on a laptop, especially with a Mac, you double tap once and that's effective, the equivalent of a right click. I can actually use 2 fingers to scroll. Now, it will not recognize 3 fingers for a Mac. Probably does more with Windows than it does with Mac because it's actually specified for Windows. According to Windows, you can point, you can go vertical, horizontal scrolling, and you can do edge gestures, which you can't do for this one. It will not do that. So I can scroll up and down. I can tap with 2 fingers, and sometimes it'll recognize a right click. The cool thing is it actually has the 2 buttons here. You can see this. It's got the 2 buttons right here and here. So if the double tap don't work, then you can still use the right click or whatever. Now, let me just go over some of the aspects of this as it relates to a Mac. For one thing, these function buttons are almost entirely, half of them at least, are useless, maybe even more than half. It still works with the volume. I can still turn the volume up, down. I can mute it. That works. These have no function whatsoever, okay? These right here. F5, I can, now, maybe it does. It just opened iTunes. So I don't know. I guess that might have something to do with it. I don't know. Go ahead and quit that because I don't need that on. So the play button may have opened iTunes. I don't know. But I also have, now for one thing, the other way is I can touch these and it does something instantly. But you notice there's these blue numbers, kind of blue. Well, that relates to the function button right here, which means I have to press this in order to get the other things to work. Okay. So that's the whole hassle with the Apple window, the Apple keyboard. You don't have to do that. You just press the top 4, function keys and they work. With this, a lot of them you have to press the function and do that. With Mac, you can't really program it. Okay. Now Windows you might be able to, but Mac you can't really program it. There's some kind of software that you can download, but the problem is I've checked that out. It's out of date. It's not compatible with this keyboard, so I'm gonna have to make another software so that you can do that. Trackpad is very, it's pretty accurate. I can move it around. It takes a while to get used to because I'm used to having a mouse. I decided, well, this eliminates the need for batteries in a mouse, so that's a plus. Like I said, I can do a double tap here, and it recognized my right click. That works. I can do some zooming, but the zooming zooms in the actual monitor size. It doesn't zoom in like pictures and things like that. It makes the monitor size zoom for some reason. The feel of it is very nice. I mean, the big complaint I have about this, and I read about it before I bought it, is that little shift key right here. You see this shift key? Very small. Look how big this one is. All right. Now I'm used to them being about as long as this, from this Z key all the way over here. On that other Apple keyboard, they were very, very long. Well, I use this quite a bit when I'm accessing any of these keys, especially the A and the S. So I find myself hitting the page up or the up arrow a lot more often than I actually hit this. So I'm not training my fingers to get all the way to this little bitty shift key. That's a downer for me. Another thing is the caps lock button doesn't have a LED on it, so you don't know when it's on or off. But that's really not a big thing. As somebody else pointed on this keyboard, how many times are you going to use a caps lock anyway? I mean, it's not very, you hardly ever use it. These 3 buttons up here, I think they're, they don't do anything. Okay, not even the sleep button does anything. And I'm not going to push it because I don't want to accidentally go to sleep. And it says PC that you can turn your thing to sleep, but I'm not going to worry about that. The cool feature about this is the selection button up here. This serves as a click button. So when I'm trying to, if you've got a laptop, you know how aggravating this is. When you're trying to move things around, you have to put your thumb down, hold that button, and move things around, or use 2 fingers to hold this down and then drag it, whatever your object you're trying to drag across the screen. That's eliminated with this extra button. I can click this to hold something and then drag it with this. So I can use this to drag, use this to click and hold, whatever. So that's really cool, a little feature that they put in there. It's an extra right click or extra left click button. Other than that, I mean, I haven't had any lag, any battery problems. I use the batteries that came with it. I've got rechargeable batteries anyway, but for some reason I think alkaline will work better because they won't naturally drain as the rechargeable batteries will. But other than that, the feel is pretty interesting. I don't like the fact that I don't have a number keypad, like I said, but you know, I'm getting used to the numbers on the top row. I can deal with it. The other thing is you want to go on your Mac and program. See, this is mainly for Windows. You want to go on your Mac. If you want it to be set up like a Mac, you want to go and switch the Alt key with this key, because when you first plug this in, this is your command key and this is your option. So you need to go within your keyboard settings in your Mac and the system preferences and switch those around. And then now this one's command and this one's option. Okay, so that's one thing you need to get right off the bat if you're having problems with that. Other than that, I mean, I haven't really experimented with the function key and these other functions. Like this right here is supposed to be right click. So if I hit function and control and click, function, control, click, nothing happens. Nothing going on here. Oh, wait a second. Let's see here. Okay, you can hit control and then click once, and that's your right key, just your right click, just like it would be on Windows. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that I can actually tap, and it does select with the tap. It's tap sensitive. So, I mean, this is lightweight. The downside of this too is that it is a plastic keyboard, but I've heard some people dropping it multiple times and it's still working. I'm not going to experiment with that. This thing takes only 2 AA batteries. You see a long thing here, but that's because it takes 2 AA batteries, as you can see. This section is to hold the dongle, the little nano receiver. You actually slip it in this little thing right here. And if you want to take it to travel with you or whatever, it's actually got a little icon. I don't know if you can see it, but right underneath that little clasp, there's an icon of the dongle there. And that's so you can take it with you and not have to worry about where you're going to store it. It stores right in the keyboard itself. So, like I said, this one was readily available. I was able to get this one very quickly because it was at the laptop place. This came with, I think, a 3-year warranty. So that really sold me on that too. So if I have any problems, I just send it back and get a replacement. So I'm happy with it. It stays fairly clean. It still looks really nice in that, you know, Macintosh white. This comes in white and black. But yeah, if you want to check this out, please go to ericbeatty.com/shop. That's in the show notes, so you can check that out. Okay. Now, got 4 viewers here. Let's see. I don't see any more comments, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up at the last section, which is miscellaneous. Now, blog posts. I'm not exactly sure what I meant by that. I think I was referring to maybe some newer blog posts that I'm coming up with. I don't know. But one of them, let's just go ahead and go to the blog post that is coming out tomorrow, Friday. And that is a book review. So that's going to lead us in the book review. We'll just call it the blog post, the book review. I've got a lot of ideas for blog posts, but some of the newer ones have been about free writing and my NaNoWriMo novel and some goal updates. But the latest one I took last week off because we had a lot of stuff going on with where I work at Peachtree. We had a big rehearsal, and we had an end of the year program, which turned out amazing. Had a lot of good feedback on the Bluegrass group and everything else there. Really enjoyed that. Had a lot of fun with the kids. So those are the most recent blog posts is what I just mentioned, and that's why I took last week off. This week, tomorrow's blog post, and it will be sent out to everyone that subscribed to my newsletter or mailing list. Once again, you can receive the short stories and blog updates and anything that happens on the blog, any tweaks or anything I might release. You go to ericbeatty.com and sign up for that mailing list, and it'll get you the short stories and everything. There's a link to go to the short stories in the show notes. The book review, okay? I'm going to start with one. It's not listed here. I'm going to start with one that I've been reading. I'm just going to tell you about a book I've been reading recently. It's pretty good. And a lot of you readers out there and writers probably know what this is. It's called Wool by Hugh Howey. Now, I was introduced to this book, I think on I'm not sure. I've been doing a lot of research on independent authors like Joanna Penn and Sean Platt and, you know, Johnny B. Truitt, a bunch of other author names. And somewhere along the lines of listening to them, one of them mentioned Hugh Howey. And I hadn't really given it a second thought. I thought, well, I don't know what's about it. I've heard a lot of reviews. Then one day I went to Books A Million, and it was a bargain book for $4. And I thought, hey, I can take a risk on $4 for this book because regularly it releases for $15. I'm sold because I've heard a lot of good reviews about it. There's a lot of good, you know, reviews and blurbs about it in here. Even, you know, a couple pages or two of how they really liked it. This apparently started off as a short story. He expanded it into a full-length novel, and now it's its own series. There's like 5 books in this. So far, I am in. I bought this book back in February, and the way I do is I read books on and off. I'll put this one down, and I'll read another book on writing, or I'll read another fiction book over here on a different subject or whatever, and I come back to this one. Well, right now, I've got to chapter 28, page 189, and it's a really good book. His writing style is very precise. A lot of times I read books not just for the story, but to get ideas of how they use things. And one of my biggest problems right now I'm trying to figure out is backstory. So I'm reading his, and I like the way he sprinkles it here and there with backstory. In other words, he'll mention somebody who was in love with somebody else, and he never mentioned it before. All of a sudden you get this, oh, who's this person they was in love with, or this relationship they had? Who is this? So it kind of forces you, kind of hooks you to read a little further so you can find out what all the details in these people's lives are. Well, with my novel as it is right now, until I can figure out a way to work it in, half the novel is backstory. So when I've heard, you know, all these writers say, oh, that's a no-no, you don't want to do that because your readers get bored and all this. Well, I don't know how I'm going to work that out. I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. I've just got to work on it, and I'm worried about writing it and finishing it right now. Then I'll go back and figure all that other stuff out. But this book, Wool, is pretty good so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's left me with a lot of good twists. And like I said, his writing style is very precise, and it is very engaging. He gets a little whimsical a little bit at times, but I really like his style. Really, really like his style. He's pretty good. And once I get done with this one, I may decide to get another one of his books. But that's this one. Now, the other one is the book review that's just coming out tomorrow on my blog. I've just recently come across a book that has really, really done it for me. And I really enjoy this book. It is a book about, basically, when I read this book, it talks about the main premise that the author says is it's about how it says, do you desperately fear you have nothing to offer the world, but secretly hope you're wrong? So this book is all about helping you find out what it is you have to offer to other people. You have to offer to the world. And a lot of people, you know, a lot of times if you're a creative person like me and you're very right-brained, you got so many things to offer. And you're like, which one do I choose? Well, the cool thing about this book is it says that you don't have to choose one because there's a million different ways to do it. And the title of the book is called A Million Little Ways by Emily P. Friedman. Okay. I'll show you what she looks like. That's what she looks like. And I love how I'm guessing they picked the colors of the book based on her outfit. Really love how that coordinates. This is a book. It's, let me just read a little bit about it. It says, you were born to make art. You were made to live art. You might not see yourself as an artist, but you are in so many unexpected ways. In what you create, whether poetry or pie, sculpture or sandcastle, calligraphy or conversation. It's time to uncover the shape of your soul, turn down the voice of the inner critic, and move into the world with courage to be who you most deeply are. Creating a life of meaning is not about finding that one great thing you were made to do. This is the clincher. Not finding that one great thing you were made to do. In other words, I've got so many things to do, but I'm only limited to one. No. Creating a life of meaning is not about finding that one great thing you were made to do. It's about knowing the one great God you were made to glorify in a million little ways. So I know there's people on here that don't like the whole Christian aspect of my channel, but I'm a Christian. I'm an ordained minister. That's what I'm about. And yes, I'm going to do what touches me, because I know it touches a lot of people out there. And this book has touched me in so many ways. I have first found out about it online went on YouTube. Now, this is a precursor to the blog post that's coming out tomorrow. There will be links on the blog post tomorrow about what I'm about to talk about here. It's not going to be on the show notes. Just check out the blog post tomorrow on ericbeatty.com, and you'll be able to see it. I found out this book, and I can't remember where I found out about it. I was just reading something else, and it just came across the radar. Looked it up on YouTube, found a huge conversation on YouTube about hold on just a second. So there's a huge conversation, like this group of women, including the author, goes into all 12 or so chapters, and they discuss each chapter of the book. And it's like a little conversation with the author. So it's really awesome. There'll be links on that blog post tomorrow about it. But did some research and really wanted to pick this book up, but I kind of didn't want to, it was kind of out of my price range. But when I read it, I don't like to buy before I try. So I actually found it on my local library. They have a program online where you can get ebooks for free, and most libraries now do. There's a service called overdrive.com, I think it's what it is, and you can look up your library and either rent ebooks, borrow ebooks, or even audiobooks. And I've done that ever since I discovered it. I've done it like crazy. Well, my local library happened to have this book as an ebook format. I downloaded it on my Kindle and found out that by reading this book, there was, if you can just do a little flip through here, see all those green highlight pages, all those dog-eared pages there. I highlighted all this stuff on my Kindle first. Look how many pages here are dog-eared. That's how good this book is. I highlighted this book, all these things on Kindle first. And then within one day of my lending expiring on my Kindle, this book finally came in. I ordered it. I was like, I've got to have this book in physical form so that I can, just take it with me or read it whenever I need to. I actually took the book down, bookmarked the pages that I bookmarked on my Kindle, highlighted the section that I highlighted on my Kindle, and now it's ready to go. So this book is such an amazing book. Talks about, talks about what to do about critics. Talks about, what to do when you're frustrated that all these other people are having success and you're not having success. Talks about what it means to what she calls sink into God. In other words, just look back, sit back, and really listen to what your spirit is trying to manifest through your creativity. Talks about what you do when you're having to wait on God. You're trying to wonder what to do next. Talks about the beauty of wonder, kind of getting lost in wonder. I watched a movie last night called Finding Neverland. Really good movie. I've never seen it before. It's an old movie. But talks about the creator of Peter Pan and how whimsical and wonderful he was. He's always playing with kids, and they would have this sense of wonder and just, being playful. And it talks about all that kind of stuff. Talks about reflecting on who you are as an artist. Helps you uncover the artist you are and the art you were born to make, and release the art you were made to live. All kinds of awesome quotes that I share on my blog post tomorrow. You really need to check that out. I really highly recommend this book. If you haven't got this, figure out some way to get it and read it. It will change a lot of the ways you look at creativity, and it will help release a lot of stress. With me, I was like, man, I want to write. I want to play guitar. I want to do screen. I want to do YouTube videos. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to create courses. And I'm like, man, there's so much stuff to do. I feel like I'm limited to doing one, but I'm not. I serve one God, but He has made this creative gene in me, this creative spirit, to release that creativity in a million little ways. And that's what this book is all about. It's amazing. I really highly recommend it. Check it out on YouTube. The links that I'm going to leave on the blog post are the links to that video series that I talk about. Really, really good stuff. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to get out here, is a new productivity system that I have recently discovered. By the way, before I forget, I meant to mention this earlier on the short stories. and hopefully, some of these people will see this later. If you download the short stories and you get them on the, you subscribe to the mailing list and you get them, they are in two formats. They are in the PDF format and they are in the Kindle Mobi format for your Kindle. I just recently had a church member ask me about this. She's got a Kindle like mine, which is a 5th gen, okay, 5th generation. This one right here. If you download the PDF or the Kindle Mobi, you can actually send them through your email address, send it from your email address to your Kindle. Your Kindle is specified. It has its own email address, okay? Mine is whatever I choose to be at kindle.com. Let me check that out real quick just to make sure. Let's see here. Let me go to my settings. Okay, it says send to Kindle email. Okay, and there's an email. It says you can send documents to your Kindle by using the email address below. Go to www.amazon.com/MYK, short for My Kindle, to change your settings. Now, I changed this to an email address that it was easy for me to remember, but it's always at kindle.com. Now, what you do, what I found that works, and let me go ahead and check, make sure that it actually downloaded this last one that I've got on here. Yes, it downloaded this when I sent it to it. What I do, and I think from what I've read, is you don't want to include a subject line because when it sends it to you, it will show you what the name of the document is. And I don't include any attachments. I don't include any signature, stuff that I've pre-programmed in my email lists. I just send it to this Kindle address, and no subject line, no attachments, no anything in the body. The only attachment is the document that I want to send. So whether it's a PDF or a Mobi or whatever, I send that to that Kindle address. And what you have to do is when you go to amazon.com/MYK, is you need to set it up to that your Kindle will receive email from whatever email address you're going to send it. So if I'm sending it from a main email address, I need to go to that website, amazon.com/MYK, and tell it that it's okay to receive documents from my email address. And then you can just send documents to it all day long till it fills up and it will receive them. So if you had downloaded those short stories, they come in PDF and Kindle Mobi formats as a zip file. You'll unzip those and you can either read them on your computer. If you want to send them to your Kindle, set up your Kindle to where it will receive email from you and figure out your Kindle email address. Just go to your settings and then it'll be in there. Email those documents to your Kindle and it'll show up on here. Because if, like for example, this one right here actually has my stories on here, okay? Now I can go to my stories and let's make sure it goes here. All right, see, that's one. That's one of my short stories, okay, that you'll receive absolutely free. And the other one is this one right here, Blind Date, okay? So you get both of those absolutely free for signing up, okay? You can email them to your Kindle and you can put them on there. All right, so let me go back to what I was actually working on and reading. I'm actually reading some Tales by Edgar Allan Poe, getting into his short story works and everything. Never really read anything by him other than, stuff you were assigned in school. So the last thing to go over is the new productivity system that I just recently found. And by the way, thanks to everybody that's watched. I've had up to 5 viewers. That's the most I've had. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been about an hour and a half long. That's about what I said it would be. I always try to shoot for an hour, but it always seems to go over. This new productivity system I have recently found and discovered and been using is called the autofocus system. Now, I actually got this off the website, and it's like 8 pages of instructions. It's not too hard to do. There's actually a video that I have left on the show notes. It's the very last link on there, one of the very last links in the talking points section underneath the miscellaneous section. It says new productivity system new productivity system, and then within parentheses it says autofocus. This is by a guy named Mark Forster, and the website is there. It's got videos on how to do it. It's got instructions on how to do it, and it's becoming a big thing. I've seen a few people on YouTube use this, writers especially. On one interview that I seen with Joanna Penn, she was interviewing somebody, and he was talking about this. So this is called the autofocus system, and the premises is, it says here, what can you expect from this system? This is based purely on my own experience of working the system for a number of weeks, but what I found is as follows. Generally increased volume of work. Says he's able to process work much faster. It seems to be due to the fact that it's very little friction in the way of resistance or procrastination. A lack of stress. Although obviously one still has to do the work, there's no great barriers of resistance to overcome or feelings of overwhelm. Focus on what's important. He said it's very difficult to focus on what is important with one's rational mind alone, because what your conscious mind thinks is important, what may not be what your subconscious mind thinks is important. That's one of his big proponents of this, is that you need to include the right brain and not just your logical, oh, I got to get this done. I got to drive and get this done. He says, what I found is by looking back on what I've done, I can see that the focus produced by the system feels right. In other words, right for me in my current circumstances. In other words, this system kind of focuses itself on what feels right and you want to do at that. You know, you've heard the quote, don't worry about doing things right, worry about doing the right things. And so that's kind of what this is based on. Number 4, very fast processing of routine actions. Excuse me. It says, by my speed at doing various essential routine tasks has increased exponentially. The sort of things I'm thinking of are replying to emails, answering comments on my blog, returning phone calls, etc., etc. So very fast processing of routine actions. And number 5, the things that he's noticed from the system is a thorough processing of major tasks and projects. Says the system encourages a little and often approach to major tasks. The result is that a project such as setting up this trial, in other words, the autofocus system, can be dealt with over a period of time in a very methodical way. One of the result of the little and often approach is that ideas and insights naturally spring up as a result of one's mind engaging with a task over a period of time. In other words, as you're working on something, you may have an idea for it. You just write it down. And he's got a quick start method, and he's got the full instructions. And at the end, he's got some do's and don'ts. Here's what I found about this system. Basically, all it is you take a notebook and you start writing ideas. Okay. Now, this is a little different from the getting things done method. I've heard some people like this better. I don't know. I kind of use both systems. And another thing I use is Trello quite a bit. I use Trello a lot. And I've got a YouTube video on Trello. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. And it'll tell you how to sign up and how to use it and how I use it to get things done. The problem is that this is not the only list I have. So I've got multiple lists. So it kind of blows this out of the water. But this is something I'm experimenting with right now. Basically, you take a blank sheet of paper and you write down all the things you want to get done. And what I've done is I've put a date here so that I can know, how long it's been since I thought of this, that I want to go, if it's like weeks down the road, I need to really consider, if I haven't done it yet, is this something that I really need to do? Is this something that's important? Is this something I need to delegate to one of my virtual assistants? Whatever. So you write these things down, and as you get them done, you mark through them. Okay. Once you think of a new idea, put it underneath the page of your active page. Okay. So you just keep doing that, and once you run out of room down here, you go to the next page, start writing things down on that page. Okay. Now the thing is, you put a dot by the one you want to work on next. So basically, his idea is once you've written these down, you take a pen and you lightly scan the page just really quickly to get an overview of what's on here. Then after that, you go back to the top and you kind of spend a little bit more time on each one. And once you find something that just stands out, and it stands out, and you're like, I can do that now. That's the one you work on. Then you put a little dot by it. You go work on that task. When you're done, mark through it. It may be something that requires multiple steps, such as checking email. Well, I may want to check email today, but I may need to check email again. If that's so, then you still mark it through, and then you go back to the next page, or whenever you're in the bottom, and you put down check email, so that you'll you'll eventually get to it again. Bigger projects, I'm not exactly sure about working with those. He probably explains that. But there's also projects here that I have steps with, such as I've got to transfer some sermons onto my computer. So I've got some different steps here. So once I get through with one step, I'll do another step. So if I'm wanting to work on this one task and it stands out to me, here's what's involved in that task. So I've got to work on all this as I work on this task, and then I can cross through it as it's done. Okay. So he can explain it a whole lot better, and he's got a whole download PDF that you can download. I actually sent that PDF to my Kindle so I could have it with me as well. Basically, it's just a notebook, you know, and you mark through these things as you get them done. And the reason there's highlights is if I went through a whole page and nothing stands out anymore, in other words, nothing speaks to me, I don't feel like getting any of this done, nothing really stands out, I highlight that. And that's once the page is full. Once it's done, I highlight it, and I don't write it down anywhere else. I don't rewrite it just to remind myself that I need to do it. No, that's why I highlight it, so I'll go back and look over it. Then I'm on the next, what's called active page, okay? So once you're on your active page and there's nothing else that stands out to you, and you've highlighted that, and you put an X on that page. He calls it a cross. You put an X on that page. And that signifies that you're done with that page. It's no longer active. Once you get to the point to where you've decided, I don't need to do this, it's not going to get done, I need to hand it off, and you decided one way or the other, and you cross through that, the highlighted sections, that page is no longer necessary. So that tells you that once you cross that out, you put an X there, that there are some highlights back here I need to check out. But once you cross through the highlights and there's nothing active on that page, period, then you put a circle around it. That lets you know I don't have to keep going back anywhere before that, so that you don't get like 50 pages into this and be like, okay, what's my last page? Here's a cross, there's a cross. Once you circle it, that means you don't have to worry about looking from that point back. Okay, so this is kind of like an overview of what I've learned so far in this. And as you can see, I've been able to get quite a few things done. Everything on this page is done except for what's highlighted. Everything's done, okay? So the process is you scan through real quickly, get an overview, go back, scan through really slowly, and when something stands out, go work on that, put a dot, go work on it, okay? And then every time you want to do it, you come back and do this again. After you complete that project, don't start from there and start reading down. You go back to the top of the page, scan down, see if something stands out. Go work on that, cross it through. Eventually, your list gets crossed through or highlighted, and you're on your next page. And then you've got an X there to let you know there's some active things on here that are highlighted, but that's all that's on this page. So I don't have to worry about what didn't I get done, what didn't I get done. He said he's had so many as like 9 active pages, but it kind of auto eliminates and auto causes you to focus on things as they come up. So that's why it's called auto focus. So now I'm currently working on this page, and there would be more things here, but I've got some things on Trello. Now what I'm trying to do is things that are on Trello I'm not putting on this list. I'm putting on Trello, and I really like Trello, but I've found that this has helped me focus things a little bit more. So that's not my complete review. That's just kind of what I'm working with right now with as far as productivity is concerned. If you're interested in time management and productivity, I recommend getting things done. But as one guy said, if it takes you 200 pages to explain to me how to do something, I'm not interested. And the book is rather thick, and it is something that was really interesting. And I still go back and refer to it from time to time, and I still have my inboxes to process and things like that. But I'm all for trying new systems if they work, and so far this is working pretty good. I might stick with it, don't know. We'll see how it works. Everybody's different, but definitely go check that out. So that's it for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks, Chad, for all your help. Thanks, Robert, for chiming in earlier. Thanks, Dad, for watching as well. I will get that keyboard to you and see if you can actually do anything with it. Guys, please check out bluegrassguitaressentials.com. Please check out ericbeatty.com. Go check out the links that I've mentioned in the show notes. There's a lot of them, but there's a lot of good resources there, especially if you want the short stories and updates. Go to that section about my short stories in the top section of the talking points in the show more area below if you're watching this later. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate getting to be online again, and hopefully there's no problems with this video. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and hopefully maybe sit down and get some writing done because I won't have a lot of time to later on. I need to start writing. So here's to crossing the fingers. Let's get some writing done. Take us a little lunch break. Maybe get some writing done. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. It's always hard to end a broadcast because you never know how to end it. But I'm just going to say I'm signing off. Please check out those links that I mentioned in the show more area below. And leave me some comments later. See what you think about this. See if any of this has helped. Hopefully it has. And we'll see you on the next Hangout, whenever that may be. Usually I just wait till I get a bunch of updates before I do a Hangout. So we'll talk to you guys later. And God bless. Appreciate you.